Like there was a time when we were flying from San Francisco via Hong Kong back to India. There was a gentleman on the flight who didn't want her to sit on the flight. He said she was bad luck. And I was always ready to fight with him. And she said, sit down. And then the flight attendant came to us and said, the pilot apologizes for what happened. We're terribly sorry. And so I've been asked to upgrade you all to business class. So I picked up my bags, come on, let's go. And she said, Mother, sit down. And she said to the flight attendant, thank you very much, but I don't want to be rewarded for someone else's bad behavior. That, I think, explained the person she was right through. Other people can behave badly, but she's not going to become a victim of that.
Now we're joined by Nisha's mother, Miss Aloma Lobo. Welcome, Miss Aloma Lobo.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
So, could you tell us a bit about your overall experiencing supporting Nisha throughout her journey?
Well, it hasn't been that long a journey, actually. Nisha came to us when she was just about a month old, and she had this very serious and rare genetic condition called Lamellar Ichthyosis. And at first, all that we saw, us, my husband and myself and her 5 other siblings, all that we saw was a little girl in need of care. But soon we realized that it was not that she needed care, it was that we needed each other. And that was a start. And you see a child with a problem, and in no time, when the child smiles and when the child, you don't see a problem anymore. You just see a child, and that's what we saw with Nisha as she grew up. We just saw a daughter, a sister, sometimes an absolute rascal, but we saw a child, and there may have been challenges with her condition, but the remarkable thing is she never ever complained about her challenges. She never ever grumbled about anything, and though we could see the challenges, she took them in her stride. And if she could take them in her stride, we took them in our stride too.
That is really beautiful to hear. So, what led you to choose Trio World Academy as Nisha's school?
Actually, Nisha was in another school. And when she was in that school, she did meet with a bit of discrimination, not from the children, but from some of the staff, etc. And I wasn't happy. And though that was very conveniently located for us, I saw an advertisement in the papers which spoke about Trio. And what hit me between the eyes was that Trio was air conditioned. And because of her condition, she needs air conditioning. And so I came here and I met the principal at that time. He was Canadian. And I told him about Nisha's condition and everything. And he said the best thing is to bring her here. So 2 or 3 days later, I brought Nisha here. And what touched me the most was that this tall gentleman came across to Nisha. He put his hand out. He held her hand, which I can understand people may not want to do at first meeting. He held her hand and he took her to a classroom. And the kids all jumped up. He'd already spoken to the kids about her. And the kids all jumped up and said, Nisha, you come to our class, we'll all be friends. And that was the start of a beautiful story.
That is really sweet. So, looking at Nisha today, how do you feel about the role you've played in helping her grow into this confident woman she is today?
I think it's a two-way street. She was within our family, but I think maybe if God takes away some things, He gives you a lot more. And she's always been this self-assured, confident, even as a baby, even as a small little child. She needed to have her blood taken as a little kid. And I've seen grown-ups scream and yell and run in the opposite direction. But Nisha would always hold her hand out and let the doctor take the blood, and that was it. Even when she had surgery in London, she let them do everything and she didn't even crib once. So she has a certain resilience within her to take on the challenges that she's been given. And, well, what was the other part of your question? What were the?
Like the role you've played in helping her grow into the confident woman she is.
The role we've played, I think that you really have to ask. I think we just played the role as parents. Mm-hmm. There were siblings. It was just a normal life, very noisy household. And I tend, unlike her dad and her siblings, to be a little overprotective. And she tells me off. when I'm overprotective, and I get angry with people. Like there was a time when we were flying from San Francisco via Hong Kong back to India. There was a gentleman on the flight who didn't want her to sit on the flight. He said she was bad luck, and he did this whole song and dance, and I was always ready to fight with him. And she said, "Sit down." So I sat. And then they put him somewhere else, and then we sat where we were. And then the flight attendant came to us and said, "The pilot apologizes for what happened. We're terribly sorry." And so I've been asked to upgrade you all to business class. So I picked up my bags, "Come on, let's go." And she said, "Mother, sit down." And she said to the flight attendant, "Thank you very much, but I don't want to be rewarded for someone else's bad behavior." And that I think explained the person she was right through. Other people can behave badly, but she's not going to become a victim of that. So it helped me not to become a victim of somebody else's bad behavior too. Well, not all of the time, some of the time.
It's wonderful to understand her perspective and to see how proud you are of her. So, lastly, as a parent, how do you feel about being part of the fundraiser that was taking place in Trio and supporting such a beautiful initiative?
That was a very interesting incident. There was this little girl who was born with an enormous tumor on her side, and she was abandoned by her parents in the hospital. And because I was involved with the placement of abandoned children practically all of my life, they contacted me and we put her into an orphanage. But she desperately needed surgery. So we were able to raise some money for her surgery, but we didn't have enough. And I told Nisha about it. Nisha took a little video of the little girl and little baby actually, and came to school and showed it to all the kids. And the kids were so taken aback with what they saw. They said, "We must raise the money, we must raise the money." They decided to have a book sale. They got books from all the apartments, etc., nearby. The kids did that. And some of the moms baked cakes. And we had a book sale. We didn't expect to get more than a few thousand rupees, but we got 1,25,000. And then when we got that money, and then we needed about that much for the surgery, the kids all wanted to come and give the money to the baby themselves. So we took them in the school van. We took some of the kids. We went to the orphanage. The little baby sat down with the caregiver there, and the kids sat in a concentric circle, and we passed a check down, da 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 da, and then gave it to the child. And this is what was an important message to the children. The children in this school are all very privileged, and with privilege comes responsibility, and that was a lesson the kids learned that day.
Must have been a really special experience for both you
Yes,
and
because
Nisha.
she had her surgery, her life was saved, and she was adopted by her family in the US.
That's
Yeah.
truly, truly
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing your insights and experiences with us, Miss Aloma Lobo.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me here. Yeah.
Of course.
And here.
Oh.